Hey y'all, so I'm gonna go over 90 Day Fiancé, the tell all. The mess that it was, I feel like this first tell all was a lot of excess information that we didn't care to know or we didn't want to know. I feel like Rebecca, Julia, and Yara monopolized the entire conversation. And every time there was a question asked of somebody else, they would chime in and chime in for a long time. And then the language barrier with Yara and Julia was really bad. So everybody was just stuck looking like, what? What are you trying to say? And that's a struggle. But nonetheless, I'm going to move on. So I'm going to start with, I have my notes. So Mike and Natalie. So of course Sean asked the question, Mike, why? His response, I got cold feet. You know, it was wrong for me to do. I feel horrible. I still feel horrible, but I got cold feet. And then Sean was like, well, for the last reunion, you guys didn't look like you guys were in a good spot. So I'm very surprised you guys actually stayed together and got married. So they arrived separately. And I'm like, don't y'all live together? So clearly there's more tension. Sean says, on a scale of 1 to 10, how good is your relationship going? And Natalie is like, oh, a 6. Mike is like a 7. But they're sitting like uncomfortably apart. Like, I don't want you to be up on his neck, but y'all just like, it's real distant and it seems off. Like something is wrong with their relationship. I can't pinpoint what it is, but there's something wrong with the relationship. Um, and then they notice Natalie doesn't have her wedding ring on, and they ask her, Natalie, where's your ring? And she goes, it's at home. Why is your ring at home? And she's like, because I didn't want it stolen. Stolen from who? Like, Mike didn't give you no big 10-carat rock, diamond, princess canary cut stone. Like, it was a basic ring. Now, when I wear my rings, when I travel or certain places, I will turn the ring around. So the stone is in this part and all you see is a band. So you don't really know what kind of ring it is. That's my preference. That could be her preference. Maybe it's her experience. But the other couples were like, I understand why she didn't have her ring. Put it in your purse. I don't know. I'm gonna just let that go because I don't understand that. Then they asked the question like, Natalie, did you think he was cheating on you when he left the night before or the morning of, whenever he left? And she was like, well, I don't know where he was. Uncle Bo didn't know. The next door neighbor Tamara didn't know. So, oh, sorry. She believes he slept with somebody. And he gets pissed off like, oh, why would you think that? If you don't answer your phone, you don't have your phone, you're not texting back, responding back, telling me where you went, where you are. It's like, I don't know. And then they go to Mike's mom and Tamara, which is the next door neighbor, and she's like, she didn't say, for lack of better words, she didn't say, I don't want them to be married, but her words were very much so, I wish they didn't, but I'm just not. The mother told Tamara, when the judge or the officiant says, did anybody who has something to say or why these two shouldn't get married, she wanted Tamara to like stand up. And Tamara was like, I'm not doing that. How dare you ask that question? Mike is a thick grown ass man. Like, our babies are our babies. My son is my son. I have only one birth son. So I totally understand you wanting them to do the right thing, not get hurt, because you see signs. You see her controlling him, trying to change the way he eats, the way he dresses, the way he does a lot of stuff. That's who Natalie is. That's who he fell in love with. But as a mother, I'm not like... So let me say this. My son is with a girl now. I love her to death. She's amazing. I love her to death. Like, you can't tell me no wrong about this girl. I don't care what you say. I love her. If he was to go with somebody else that wasn't as good for him or didn't treat him right, I would voice my opinions to him. But if he still decided to get married, that is a lesson he's going to have to learn. Because I've told him, his father has told him, the signs are there. And you know when you marry somebody that's not like right for you, but you still go through it anyway. I don't know anybody like that. I'm not saying every marriage is supposed to be 100%. What I am saying is you shouldn't be forced into a relationship, a marriage, or anything else you don't want to do, especially a long-term commitment. I'm leaving it alone. I'm getting off my soapbox. I'm off. So that was Natalie and them. Then we go to Jovi and Yara. Yeah, he had the baby. Yada yada yada. Then they, of course, the messy old show shows the bachelor party, and Yara never saw the footage that he went to the VIP with the scripper. Yep, I said it's scripper. I know how it's pronounced. Don't do me. So he went to the VIP room, and Yara's pissed. She lets his hand go, and she's like, "Oh, so what'd you do with the stripper?" He goes, "Nothing. You know what happens when you go to the VIP room." I'm like, "I don't know, because I never been, so I don't know what really happens." In my mind, you're having sex. They was like, "No, they just dance for you, then you come back downstairs." And then Jovi said some old dumbass comment like, "Well, you see, I couldn't help it. My friend made me go. He forced me." His friend said, "I got, your private dance for you. You go on upstairs." He said one sentence. "That's forcing you?" You could say, "Nah, man, I'm good. I'm going to respect my wife. I'm not going to do that. Ma'am, I'm sorry. Give her the money anyway and move on." He didn't force you. Excuse me. Alex is kicking my butt. So then they give him a lie detector test. And I'm like, who asked for the lie detector test? I don't know if it was Yara. I don't know who asked for the test. But one of the questions was, have you ever slept with a stripper? His response was no, and he failed. Now, they didn't ask the question, did you sleep with the stripper the day of the bachelor party? So it wasn't really defined. So I feel like maybe he did before, because we all know Jovi is a wild child. Anyway, moving on. Brandon and Julia, she doesn't like the farm. She still hates it. Apparently, Brandon tried to get her into an apartment for them too, so they won't be under their mom's rules and regulations and what they can and cannot do. And Julia hates the pigs and the chickens, and it wasn't up to her standard. Now, where they live in Dinwiddie is very country, so I don't know what kind of apartments there are, or is it close to where they live? Like, I don't know, but it wasn't up to her standard, so she was like, it was a shit apartment. So they're staying at the house, and I'm like, so you rather be in a room and you can't be free with your newlywed husband than to be in a shit apartment? And for me, a shit apartment, for what her saying is like, was it really shit, or was it not like glamorous and fabulous like you think everything in the States is supposed to be? Brandon didn't say, because we know Brandon is real laid back and quiet. But they ain't ever moving out, because Brandon keeps saying, "Oh, we don't have enough money. I don't have enough money. Yada yada yada." They briefly touch on the birth control situation with the mother, and the mother's like, "Well, I just want her to know her options," because they sitting here sexing and trying to do the pull-out method, and y'all getting lucky with not getting pregnant, but that's not a viable source to say, yeah, this is 100% proof. But whatever. Julia's very, very, very young-minded, because she had a lot of comments about Rebecca getting lipo, and how she can just go to the gym and eat healthy and all her fat will go away. And she's like, no. Yara's like, no. When you are of a certain age and you've exercised and you've worked out, certain skin isn't going to hang the way it's supposed to hang as you get older. It's what it is. Your skin sags, and she's a white woman. And she said herself, I'm not going to continue to live my life because uncomfortably, basically, because, of my skin. She goes, white, women, our skin sag. I was like, I didn't know that, but, whatever. So, the difference of age is 20 or 21 years between her and Zied. And Zied is just sitting there with his leg crossed because his English is terrible. He can't, like, you're so beautiful, baby. I love you, baby. Yes, baby. No, baby. Then they go back to the situation of when Rebecca's daughter's friend asked her to help him move the furniture out of the storage into the apartment. And Rebecca was looking at the girl like, bitch, no. And I'm like, does anybody want your man? And she said, oh, she's a very young girl. She was looking at him, and she kept going on and on and on. And I'm like, if it's your daughter's friend, and your daughter didn't say anything, shut up and let her help him. She's trying to help him with a truck. She didn't want to lift baggage and stuff like that. She wasn't offering that. She was offering her truck so he could have everything in a truckload and bring it into the apartment. But that's going to happen a lot in their relationship because she is so much older than him and she thinks he's a catch. He's not, but she thinks he is. And everybody loves their monkey. So let me just stop because somebody loves me to death and I might not be your cup of tea. So whatever. She got lipo and she said it's smart lipo where, you know, she lost some dress sizes and she was really being like the mother on the stage. Don't nobody want to hear what you got to say. Like, just mother your man and just stop. So then we have Tariq and Hazel. They didn't say too much because they were in quarantine. They didn't come to the show. They're in their home in Newport News, Virginia in 2 different rooms because they both were around someone that had COVID. So they couldn't come to the show and they don't want to be around each other to expose each other to the same variant and possibly get COVID from each other. So they didn't make the show. They didn't have much to talk about. So they're going to probably speak more this Sunday. Now we have the hot mess, Amira and Andrew. They were toward the end of the show. Amira pops on the screen because she wasn't coming. She didn't want to face Andrew. She didn't want to see Andrew. And she's like, he's not going to manipulate me anymore. I have heart palpitations. I have anxiety. And Andrew is just, he is not a good person to me. That's how she talks. Yeah, I know that's how she talks. So Andrew was like, well, I'm not going to stay if she ain't going to talk to me. And I'm like, so I'm going to play devil's advocate real quick. I get Andrew's point. We haven't talked since this whole thing went down. So I'd like to talk to see or work through what the reason was, what happened, why it happened, and just to go back and forth. Sean has done a very good job of cutting someone off and getting the points out without having anything major happen, especially that y'all being on a different stage. So Andrew said, y'all can cut the screen off for her so she doesn't have to see me, but she can hear me. And as long as he's not talking to her, I don't feel that they need to just stop their conversation. So he picks up his little vest and he swings his vest around and he's like, I'm leaving. You ain't Jay-Z. Don't nobody care if you leaving. Don't nobody care. Like, we'll move on with her story and then it'll be just her story and not your story. So they can, in my mind, they can cut his camera off so she can speak her piece. When he's talking, they can mute him. And then Sean can kind of relay the message to Amira so she can answer Sean and not answer Andrew. Is it that hard, y'all? Is it that hard? Is that not how life works on TV? I don't know. I've never been on TV. But we'll see what happens on Sunday because he got in the car and he said to them, like, listen to what I'm saying to you. If y'all don't get me and her in the same space like everybody else is, I'm not talking. Don't nobody care. Don't nobody care. But I'm going to mind my 42-year-old business because I don't know much. That's all I got for the tell-all part 1. We will see what happens on Sunday. Fingers crossed for some resolution for Amira because she really seems like she has gone through it, which she has. And Andrew seems like, I don't give a damn. Her ass and come see me. Like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.